Women today will meet a man and sleep with him the same day she met him. Women today want to be like men. They want to meet someone, impress them, sleep with them, and not experience any kind of consequences for it.
What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Give me the HBO special as a help a brother out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Let's get right into the video.
Where did all the good men go?
And it seems like we just got a shortage of good men out here.
ADM, crazy reviews.
If you think there's no good guys left, this could in fact be your fault. And I'm not saying that to be a dick or mean or anything like that. I'm just a huge believer from my experience of teaching literally tens of thousands of men and women how to date that
women today, like I said, they're not ladylike. They walk around, they want to dress skimpy, they want to put on enough makeup to where they start looking like a transsexual. They want to wear fake this, fake that, fake hair on their head, fake eyelashes, where they look like they dressed up for Halloween night. They getting surgery, they getting their lips blown up, they getting their butts done, their breasts done. Nothing's real anymore. And
the rewards for men in these fields, especially in marriage, is so much less than it used to be, and the costs and dangers are so high that I think a lot of men are opting out. Yeah. And we can definitely see this, particularly online, where at least men can kind of get on and speak up. And you see that on the Reddit, like in some of the forums on Reddit or other places where men can actually talk about some of these issues and give their opinions in a more free manner. And I think guys just feel like there's just not that much in it for them. If you're a man and you have kids, in today's world, you're expected to earn a living. You're expected to come home, clean the house, and fix, do the dishes and everything. And of course, if you're not able to do all of that, you're called a loser, you're called names. And then if you do actually do all those things, then you're called a beta male. So it just, you really can't win.
Not only do men find it kind of unnecessary to get married, because if I have to do all of the housework and I have to do all of the providing, I might as well just go ahead and just skip the wife and taking the risk on all of my assets. But also, women don't really expect men to offer any kind of commitment. See, what the sexual liberation movement did is it convinced women to give their bodies and to give their wombs to men without a commitment. See, marriage was created because the process of having children was such a demanding process that men sat down and said, hey, if you want to get my daughter pregnant, if you want to sleep with my daughter, you have to commit your resources and prove that you can provide for the child that comes into this world and provide for her for the rest of her life. That's pretty much what marriage was created for. But with women trying to tear down the patriarchy, they're tearing down structures that were actually put in place to protect them. What incentive do I have if you've already given me children? If I'm a man, I provide for myself, and you've given me children that I can take care of myself, what incentive do I then have to dedicate any of my resources to you as a woman? And that's what you see in a lot of these cases. Sometimes women will go, well, men don't want to take care of their children, that's why no, he's kicking you out. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to see his children. That means he doesn't want to see you. Now, do I personally believe the best scenario is when a man stays in the life with a woman and a child? Of course. But if he has his children and he doesn't want to deal with the woman, she's giving him everything that he wants. So there's no need for him to commit to her. Now, we could talk about how it should be, or we could talk about how it is. And the truth of the matter is, how it is men are sexual opportunists. And when presented the opportunity for sexual selection, that basically tells a man that, hey, you've provided enough value to your community to the point where I have recognized you as special and you deserve to spread your genes into the next generation. Now, if women don't expect a commitment in order for men to do that, men are going to jump at the opportunity to do that without a commitment. At the end of the day, why would I give you all of my resources and all of the resources that I may accumulate throughout my entire lifetime if you're going to give me what I want out of the deal without me having to make that commitment? And that's why the patriarchal, quote-unquote, structure of marriage is very important and very beneficial to women, and especially women and children, because it certainly doesn't benefit men.
Women today will meet a man and sleep with him the same day she met him. Women today want to be like men. They want to meet someone, impress them, sleep with them, and not experience any kind of consequences for it.
And I see a lot of men actually in a movement today that don't even see what the value of a woman in it is anymore. And that's really scary. They feel like if a woman acts just like a man, wants to compete with me like a man, but doesn't provide any feminine value or benefits, or isn't helpful at all, then what's really the point of a woman or a wife anymore?
Okay, I want to go back now to what you were talking about before with marriage specifically, and how that's become not as, it's just a better deal for women than it is for men. And so much of that has to do, as you were explaining, that it's not as though men can be primarily responsible for providing for their family, although they're still expected to do that as much as
Definitely
they
always
ever were.
expect.
Pew Research Center did a study, and they found that the majority of people still expect men to provide for families.
Exactly.
Right, and that's all fine, except when you're adding on to that, oh, and by the way, when you come home, you're not going to have any moment to breathe, and you're going to have no time for yourself, and there's no place where you can go as a man and be alone with men because those spaces are gone, yada, yada, yada. So basically, you're a slave to your life.
If other women were not whores and willing to lay down and flirt with a married man or a man in a relationship, and this kind of stuff wouldn't happen. Men wouldn't be able to do this kind of stuff. They wouldn't be able to cheat on you as often.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to run off or sleep with a woman they just met if the woman wouldn't be willing to do it. So instead of running around blaming men, men are only going along with what women have allowed.
Now,
exactly. She just struck gold. That's exactly the whole point of all of this. Women dictate the sexual marketplace, and since most living organisms, their whole purpose and the driving force of most living organisms is to procreate, that's a huge responsibility. And if women want to take out any type of man, they could do it by just having standards across the board. If every woman on the planet said we're not sleeping with men that are not productive, there would have to be a world full of productive men. Men would do it because we do what's necessary to procreate. But somewhere, and I think it's around the time where women stopped with their sexual standards, I think it was around the sexual liberation period, that stopped being the case. Now it's about how good a man looks. It's not about how valuable he is to his community or how well he can protect and provide. It's now about how good he looks. So you have a small minority of decent looking men that might be tall or might be attractive or handsome or whatever it may be, sleeping with women because they have no sexual standard anymore. Then men who are applying themselves and working hard to become productive are looking up, and the only options they have are women that have been ran through or women that are single mothers. Men who are irresponsible, men who are bums, men who are negligent only procreate if women allow them to. That's the female responsibility to humanity, being the gatekeeper of reproduction. So when you select a man to sleep with and have a child with him, you've basically said that he has given enough to his community to deserve to spread his genes and DNA into the next generation. And it's a little different for men because we don't really select women. Unless you have a lot of money and a lot of opportunity, then you can start selecting women. But for the most part, most men are opportunists, and when the opportunity presents itself, we take it by and large.
TV has men looking like a bunch of dorks. We have all this awful stuff about men, and men who are married just seem to be kind of not worth a lot of respect. Men lose a lot of friends. They aren't, we used to think, oh, these abusive men, they're always keeping women from going out. Well, now it's the women who are abusive, and if men even were, I don't know. But now women, men don't have as many friends, and then everybody blames them and says, well, men just don't talk. Well, they would have talked, but all the male spaces, like you were saying before, and like you pointed out in one of your articles, is we don't have any male spaces anymore. And I think that's a really big piece of that's missing. If we don't have male space, what we've done is we've retreated men who are married. Oh, you'll have a man cave down in the basement or the dirty area of the house in the garage. I just think that being married for men means that there's just a lot of freedoms and things that they don't have anymore.
So let's go back like 50 years. Let's go back to your grandparents and your great-grandparents. Everybody think about your great-grandparents. Do you think, and I'm generalizing here, typically they were married when they had children.
Bingo.
And I want you to think about this. Do you think that when your great-grandmother met your great-grandfather, the first day she met him, she slept with him? Probably not. Back then, women were ladylike. They wore dresses, they covered their bodies, they had a man court them. If they were going to be with that man, they typically wanted to be married to that man before they had their children or whatnot. Or if they had a child with that man, they got married afterwards. And women from those times, like your great grandmother, probably only have slept with 1 or 2 partners in their whole life.
Right.
I know female acquaintances my age that have slept with 60, 70, 80 men, 5 men a year since the age of 16, 15. You know, that adds up, believe it or not. And they don't see nothing wrong with that.
Men have the most to lose. So I think when we talk about the cost benefit for men have to weigh it more heavily than a woman. Women can just get a divorce. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we know that women initiate 70-something% of those divorces. And they do it because they know that they ultimately can get something. If they have assets, usually they're either going to be split equally or she's going to get more. If they have children, she doesn't really need to worry that she's going to not have any custody. She's going to at least get half, if not the full sole custody. And so I just think there are a lot of things in today's political climate and legal climate where men have to really weigh these things.
Ultimately, feminism has made it much harder for women to have what they want most in life, which is a family, which is love, ultimately. And men are actually freed up to do whatever they want to in life and not have to be attached to a woman or be obligated to marriage.
Bingo.
So, in the end, feminism is actually hurting women more than men, and this is why I ultimately think feminism needs to go.
There's too many women that are deceitful today. They lie, they deceitful, they're whores, they want sexual attention, and they're insecure.
Yeah.
Why are men just wanting to stay away from women, far, far away, not marry, not commit, not have children, and potentially even just pump and dump? Well, you got it right here. You continue with this feminist movement, never-ending demands on men, constant blaming, shaming, entitled attitude. You want to continue to compete with men instead of just be with men and be feminine, be beautiful, be a woman. If you want to do that, kiss your prospects for a marriage and a committed man goodbye.
The reason why women aren't getting married is because fewer women require men to marry them. And the kicker is, men are going to be fine without marriage. Men aren't the ones that are statistically speaking in the poorest demographic in America whenever they become single parents. That's single women. Men aren't going to be the ones that are largely affected in the dating market by having children. That's going to be women. And some people will say, well, what if you get married and then divorced? Well, the whole point of marriage is to make sure that you at least get something. So you're going to be in a much better position if you got married and divorced than you would be if you just became a baby mama out of wedlock. Marriage is essentially the insurance policy for women. But if women are willing to take all those risks and have children out of wedlock, then cool. I mean, men will be fine. Women are ultimately going to be the ones that suffer from the destruction of marriage, not men. Till next time.
My boo, I'm just here for the rendezvous. And I came the whole damn brew, cause I've been feeling like you want me to. You say stop saying I'm so I can't help myself when I pull up.